Hi everyone, I'm Greg. Buy one from Matter on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Boxfield, Instagram, and TikTok. Uh, I'm opening up my first round of Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond, Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle Earth. This round is set boosters. So I got a set booster box, sealed. And we're going to crack into this and see what we can get. Okay. The one of one ring is only in collector boosters, so we won't be finding that in here. This does have a box Copper, Realms, and Relics. I think we'll save that for the grand finale, and we'll see if it's a bummer or not. And we got packs. Okay. Nothing else fancy about the box. There's Balrog on the front and the back side. Okay. So there's chances at the list card, which is likely since that one, when you see the magic card back, it's either the list card or some token that has that backing. There are art cards. So the first art card is just Tree Folk. So Ents. Seeing what kind of screen real estate I have here. Okay. A mountain and foil. Put that over there. Let's fold Rider. Esquire of the King. Knights of Dol Amroth. Dunedain Blade. Bilbo, Retired Burglar. Barrow Blade. Frodo Baggins. So there's multiple versions of Frodo, and I think multiple versions of Sam. I think. So at least for several of the characters, there are different rarities and color combinations for the characters. And there are extended art cards in this set. So Guthmog Morgul Lieutenant. So this is an uncommon. Ewan Fearless Knight. This is the rare. Long list of Ents is a foil version of a long saga. And Bog Wraith is our uncommon list card, but at least it's on flavor with the Ring Wraiths in the set. Ooh. Now I got that also in my bundle already. So I've already got a duplicate list card. Oh, I bet this is the Palantir Commander Sphere. Commander Sphere is the art card. Now is you have one of the map lands. So swamp. The dead marshes. Claim the precious. The black breath. Urukai Berserker. Mordor Trebuchet. Bitter Downfall. Alas, poor Boromir. Rangers Firebrand. Gollum's Bite. An extended art Oliphant. Nazgul. So you can have 9 of these suckers in your deck, in your commander deck. Lost Isle Calling. So this is a new one since the bundle. I haven't seen before. Whenever you scry, put a verse counter on Lost Isle Calling. You can pay 4 and 2 blue and exile this. Draw a card for each verse counter on it. If it had 7 or more verse counters on it, take an extra turn after this one. Activate only as a sorcery. So that can be up to shenanigans. Mirkwood Spider in foil. So there's a Shelob card swimming around and they're scuttling and scurrying around in this set somewhere. And it's got Death Touch, and you can give, when it attacks, you can give Death Touch to another legendary until end of turn. Okay. Get to Fire is the list card. So you may play it anytime. You could play an instant. If you pay 2 more to play it, it deals X damage to target creature or player. So it's an X and a red. Okay, an art card. Is that one? Pippin, Warden of Isengard. An island. Brandywine Farmer. Took Reaper. Nimble Hobbit. East Farthing Farmer. Fearfire Foes. Foray of Orcs. March from the Black Gate. Dunland Crebain. Extended art. Galadriel of Lothlorien. So, legendary creature, elf noble. Whenever the ring tempts you, if you choose a creature other than Galadriel as your ring bearer, scry 3. Whenever you scry, you may reveal the top card of your library. If a land card is revealed this way, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Shagrat Loot Bearer. Another new one to me. So whenever it attacks, attach up to 1 target equipment to it that amass Orcs X, where X is the number of equipments attached to Shagrat. Okay. So Voltron Shagrat. Eowyn, Fearless Knight in extended art foil. So that's pretty. So it's got haste, and when ETBs exile target creature an opponent controls with a greater power, and legendary creatures you control gain protection from each of the creature's colors until end of turn. And here is the ring kind of reminder token as to what happens with the ring. So there are different stages to what can happen with the ring. So your ring bearer is legendary and can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. It's the first thing that you get when you get tempted by the ring. Next stage is whenever your ring bearer attacks, draw a card and then discard a card. Then you can gain whenever your ring bearer becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller sacrifices it at the end of combat, so disincentivizing blocking. Whenever your ring bearer deals combat damage to a player, each opponent loses 5 life. No, he loses 3 life. 3 life. Okay, the ring tempts you. As the ring tempts you, you get an emblem. Okay, so it's an emblem. Named the ring, if you don't have one. Then your emblem gains its next ability, and you choose a creature you control to become or remain the ring bearer. The ring can tempt you even if you don't control a creature. The ring gains its abilities in order from top to bottom. Once it gains an ability, it has that ability for the rest of the game. Each time the ring tempts you, you must choose a creature if you control one. So you can't decline to have a ring bearer if there's a ring bearer possibility. Each player can have only one emblem named the One Ring and only one ring bearer at a time. Okay. So that's the rules for the ring. Now this is like, heavily sprinkled in the set. So you can really kind of force the ring stuff to happen. There's a lot of cards that do it. At least that's my impression. So I will use this. Put it over there. Okay. Okay. An art card. Legolas, Master Archer. Swamp in the map style. So Gorgoroth in Mordor. The land where shadows lie. Improvised club. Lash of the Balrog. Nasty end to nasty hobbits. Cirith Ungol Patrol. Orc Soldier. Okay. Gollum Patient Plotter. Tale of Tinuvial. So another saga. Target creature you control gains indestructible for as long as you control the tale. Next stage, stage 2, is return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And stage 3 is up to 2 target creatures you control, each gain a lifelink until end of turn. Okay. So it's an uncommon saga. Gift of Strands. Yep, Gift of Strands. Flash, enchanted creature. When Gift of Strands enters the battlefield, scry 2. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3. Gandalf, Friend of the Shire. putting on a fireworks show. Flash, you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash, and whenever the ring tempts you, if you chose a creature other than Gandalf, Friend of the Shire, as your ring bearer, draw a card. So he doesn't want to be ring bearer. Here's the extended art version of Rosie Cotton of South Lane. So it's got an ETB to create a food token, and whenever you create a token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. And there's a lot of food token stuff going on. So, Radagast. Radagast the Brown. Avatar Wizard. Whenever Radagast the Brown or another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the creature's mana value. You may reveal a creature card that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control from among those cards and put it in your hand, with the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay. So, Radagast. And as the foil, we have the showcase Samwise the Stout-Hearted. So when it enters the battlefield, choose up to one target permanent card in your graveyard that was put from the battlefield. Was put from the battlefield that was put there this turn. Return it to your hand, then the ring tempts you. Sharky's Tithe is a minigame token. Yes. Okay, I think this is like Sauron's mouthpiece or something. Yep, the Mouth of Sauron. The Mouth of Sauron is the art card. In foil. I like these better in foil. The map cards. So Lorien is the location for the mountain art card. I mean map land card. Rush the Room. Olaghai Crusher. Easterling Vanguard. Haradrim Spearmaster. Gandalf's Sanction. So Gandalf's Sanction deals X damage to target creature, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. Okay, uncommon. Council's Deliberation. So draw a card, and whenever you scry, if you control an island, you may exile Council's Deliberation from your graveyard. If you do, draw a card. So you can get a second draw off of it. Okay. Stone of Erech. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. So bad for things that want things in their graveyard. 2, tap, sacrifice it, exile target player's graveyard, and draw a card. So graveyard recursion player's bane. The Bath Song is a saga. So 1 and 2 are draw 2 cards, then discard a card. And stage 3 is shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library, and then you add 2 blue. Interesting. Pippin's Bravery. It's extended art. You may sacrifice a food. If you do, target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Otherwise, that creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And that's a common. Barad-dûr. Legendary land. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary creature. You can get the black off of it. Tap it for black, but you can pay XX black and tap, and you get to amass Orcs X. Activate only if a creature died this turn. So there's a lot of conditionals there, but there's a lot of amass Orcs stuff going on in this set too. So could definitely be useful. Rising of the Day in foil. Creatures you control have haste, and legendary creatures get +1/+0. Pentavus is the list card. Pentavus enters the battlefield with 5 +1/+1 counters on it, and you can pay 1 and remove a counter, and put a 1/1 colorless Pentavus artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Or you can pay 1 and sacrifice Pentavus and put a +1/+1 counter. No. Pay 1, sacrifice a Pentavite, put a +1/+1 counter on Pentavus. Okay. You remove it. Okay. So there's the Pentavus and there's the Pentavites. So you're creating Pentavites, and you could sacrifice them to get counters back on Pentavus if you need to. Okay. Is that Mount Doom or Valley of Gorgoroth? Is the art card. Mountain. Eastmark Cavalier. Westfield Rider. Esquire of the King. Dunedain Blade. Elrond, Lord of Rivendell. So whenever it or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1, and if this is the second time, the ring tempts you. Horses of the Brunnen. Return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. Scry 1, the ring tempts you. Draft Basin. X tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature with power X. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. Lash of the Balrog in the extended art. So an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, or pay 4, destroy target creature. And it's 1 black. Gandalf, Friend of the Shire in the showcase, I guess. Flash, you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash, and whenever the ring tempts you, if you choose a creature other than Gandalf, as your ring bearer, draw a card. The Battle of Bywater. Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Then create a food token for each creature you control. Okay. Deceive the Messenger foil. It's a common. Target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn, and a Mass Orcs 1. And just a plain old junk token. Okay. Okay, so here's that Valley of Gorgoroth again, but this time with the spiffy gold signature. Mountain, Mapland, Lorien again, Rohirrim Lancer, Relentless Rohirrim, Rally at the Hornburg, Quarrel's End, Gothmog Morgul Lieutenant, Mahir Urakai Captain, Book of Mazarbul. Yeah, Mass Orcs 1, a Mass Orcs 2. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain menace. Denethor Ruling Steward. So the Gross Eater. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, create a 1/1 human soldier creature token, and 2, sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Legolas, Counter of Kills in the showcase format. So reach, and whenever you scry, if Legolas Counter of Kills is tapped, you may untap it. Do this only once each turn, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Legolas. Goldberry. Goldberry River Daughter. Tom Bombadil's wife. Move a counter of each kind, not, so you can tap, move a counter of each kind not on Goldberry from another target creature you control onto Goldberry. And you can pay blue and tap, and you can move 1 or more counters from Goldberry onto another target permanent you control if you do draw a card. Rising of the Day and Extended Art Foil. Creatures you control have haste, and legendary creatures you control get +1/+0. And a human soldier token. Okay. We're nearing the end of the first stack. Sauron the Dark Lord art card. Plains. Shelob's Ambush. Hobbit's Sting. Hobbit's Sting deals X damage to target creature, where X is the number of creatures you control, plus the number of foods you control. Okay. Pippin's Bravery. Many Partings. The Grey Havens. So it's a legendary land. You can just tap it for colorless, or you can you get scry 1 when it first comes into play, and add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures, creature cards in your graveyard. Okay. Glorfindel Dauntless Rescuer. Elf Noble. Whenever you scry, choose 1, and Glorfindel Dauntless Rescuer gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So Glorfindel must be blocked this turn if able, or Glorfindel can't be blocked by more than 1 creature each combat this turn. Interesting wording there. So Glorfindel can't be blocked by more than one creature each turn, which kind of covers if some multiple combat stuff is going on. Okay, that's still uncommon. Arwen Undomiel. Whenever you scry, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And you can pay for Simic, the green and blue, scry 2. Celeborn the Wise. Elf Noble, whenever you attack with one or more elves, scry 1. Whenever you scry, Celeborn gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each card looked at while scrying this way. Okay. Shire Sheriff. In extended art, vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a food token, or no, sacrifice a token. When you do, exile target creature and opponent controls and Shire Sheriff until Shire Sheriff leaves the battlefield. Okay. Tom Bombadil, a god bard. As long as there are 4 or more lore counters among sagas you control, Tom Bombadil has hexproof and indestructible. Whenever the final chapter ability of any saga you control resolves, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a saga card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest onto the bottom of your library in random order. This ability triggers only once each turn. So, Saga Shenanigans. Eagles of the North. Foil. Flying, and when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain first strike until end of turn. Also has plane cycling. Here's a food token, which will get a workout in this set. Okay. Assuming Gimli. Gimli, Counter of Kills. Art card. Mountain Mapland. White Mountains. Knights of Dol Amroth. Improvised Club. A Lash of the Balrog. Long List of the Ents. Entish Restoration. Sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, instead search your library for up to 3 basic lands, put them into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Okay, so that's for 2 and a green. A Quick Beam Upstart Ent. Whenever Quick Beam Upstart Ent or another tree folk enters the battlefield under your control, up to 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 and gain trample until end of turn. Landval Horizon Witness. Did that for the bundle. Knights of Dol Amroth in the extended art. That one's a common. Okay. Saruman of the White Hand. So, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, amass Oryx X, where X is that spell's mana value. Goblins and orcs you control have Ward 2. Okay. Display of Power. The spell can be copied. Copy any number of target instant and or sorcery spells you have. You may choose new targets for the copies. Grishnak Brash Instigator in foil. On ETB, amass it works 2. When you do, until end of turn, gain control of target non-legendary creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the amassed army's power. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. And an Orc Army token. And the last pack of the first stack. Okay. Art card. This is Pippin, Guard of the Citadel. An island. Banish from Edoras. Bewitching Leechcraft. Morgul Knife Wound. Fog on the Barrow Down. Mirror of Galadriel. So 5 tap, scry 1, then draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. So you got to play it in a Legendaries Matters deck so that it's cheap enough so that it's worth paying to tap to scry 1. But there's plenty of scrying Matters cards in this set. Legolas, Counter of Kills. Reach, whenever you scry, if it's tapped, you may untap it. Do this only once each turn, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Legolas. Friendly Rivalry. Target creature you control and up to 1 other target legendary creature you control each deal damage equal to their power to target creature you don't control. Faramir Field Commander in the showcase. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, draw a card. Whenever the ring tempts you, if you chose a creature other than Faramir as the ring bearer, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Elvish Mariner. It's a rare. Whenever it attacks, scry 1, and whenever you scry, tap up to X target non-land permanents, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying. King of the Oathbreakers. So, legendary Spirit Noble. Flying, and whenever it or another spirit you control becomes the target of a spell, it phases out. And whenever it or another spirit you control phases in, create a tapped 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Snarling Warg in foil. So that one's a common. And the list card is a Thran Forge. So you can pay 2, and until end of turn, target non-artifact creature gets +1/+1 and is an artifact creature. Okay. Okay. Some kind of orc thing going on. Ugluk of the White Hand. That's our art card. A mountain, regular. Stalwarts of Osgiliath. Inherited envelope. So when it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. And you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Bombadil's Song. So it's 1 in the green. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains hexproof until end of turn. And the ring tempts you. Tale of Tenuviel. I covered this for the bundle. Gift of Strands. Gandalf, Friend of the Shire. So flash, you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash, and whenever the ring tempts you, if a creature other than Gandalf is your ring bearer, you get to draw a card. Nasty End, the extended art. Marodiak Brandybook in the showcase. Whenever one or more halflings you control attack a player, create a food token. Okay. Sting, the Glinting Dagger. Extended art. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. At the beginning of each combat, untap equipped creature. Equipped creature has first strike as long as it's blocking or blocked by a goblin or orc. Faramir, Prince of Ithilien. Ithilien. Beginning of your end step, choose an opponent. At the beginning of that player's next end step, you draw a card. If they didn't attack you that turn. Otherwise, create 3/1/1 human tokens. Human soldier, creature tokens. Sorry. The Grey Havens in foil. Saarland. And another copy of the ring emblem. Okay. It looks like the Shire. A Plains. So that's the Plains art. Oh, but they gave us a foil swamp map art. That's pretty sweet. Captain of Umbar. Pelargir Survivor. So 1 in a blue. You can tap it to add mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery. Or you can do 5 and blue, tap it, target builder, target player mills 3 cards. Okay. Woe's Pathfinder. Ranger's Firebrand. Golem's Bite. Gandalf's Sanction. Covered that one in a break already. Council's Deliberation again. Aha! Mirkwood Bats Extended Art. Flying. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. So it's only a common, but it's a pretty rude common. Elvish Mariner. We already covered that one, I think. Gloin Dwarf Emissary. So whenever you cast a historic spell, create a treasure token. And historics are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. You can tap, sacrifice a treasure to goad a target creature. Okay. Cirith Ungol Patrol in foil. An Orc Army. So an Orc Army token. Okay. Galadriel of Lothlorien. Art card. A mountain. Ologhai Crusher. Easterling Vanguard. Haradrim Spearmaster. Rohirrim Lancer. Gothmog Morgul Lieutenant. Mahir Uruk-hai Captain. Seeing those cards together a lot. Book of Mazarbul. I think that's another kind of like linked card. Denethor. Faramir in the Showcase. Still an uncommon. War of the Last Alliance. So search your card for a legendary creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So it gets a tutor for a legendary card. Creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. The ring tempts you. Rise of the Witch King in foil. Each player sacrifices a creature. If you sacrificed a creature this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So uncommon, and we have the Sharky's Tie the Game card token again. Horn of Gondor. I knew it was Gondor related. Mountain. Map card. Slip on the Ring. So exile target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under control, and then the ring tempts you. You use the ring's power, it's going to tempt you. Arwen's Gift. One less to cast if you control 2 or more legendary creatures. Scry 2, then draw 2 cards. Birthday Escape. So that's a pivotal scene. Draw a card, the ring tempts you. Hithlane Knots. So tap target creature, scry 1, and draw a card. Here's Elrond, Lord of Rivendell. I think we already hit that one in this session. Horses of the Bruinen. Return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. Scry 1, the ring tempts you. And Draft Basin. X, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature with power X. Activate only the sorcery. Long list of the Ents. Rosy Cotton. Extended art. One ring to rule them all. We know this one, don't we? But the first stage is the ring tempts you. Then each player mills cards equal to your ring bearer's power. Second stage is destroy all non-legendary creatures. So if you're toying around with the ring, you've probably it's legendary by virtue of being a bearer of the ring. Each opponent loses 1 life for each creature card in that player's graveyard. So if you've softened them up with destroying everything, there's cards in their graveyard to profit off of. Okay. Gimli, counter of kills in foil. So trample, and whenever creature an opponent controls dies, Gimli, counter of kills, deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. That's an uncommon. And the Ballistic Boulder is token. Yes, we're 52 minutes in, and I'm only halfway through the box. So I'm being wordy reading stuff off, but this is like the first box I'm cracking. The next big box, I'll go more gently on y'all. Galadriel Gift Giver is the art here. Island, the map art. Relentless Rohirrim. Rally at the Hornburg. Quarrel's End. Banish from Edoras. Bewitching Leechcraft. Stone of Eric. The Bath Song again. The Grey Havens again. Many Partings in extended art. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hands, then shuffle, and you create a food token. Boromir, Warden of the Tower. Vigilance, whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. Sacrifice Boromir. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and the ring tempts you. Okay. And here's Banish from Edoras in a foil version. And Argothian Elder is the list card. So you can use it to... It's an elf that you can use to untap 2 target lands. So, you know, in a Golgari deck, you know, Cabal Coffers and Nykthos. Untap those. uh, for high octane mana shenanigans. Ooh. Now, I'm assuming, so I've never heard the name pronounced, but I've seen him on Twitter and I follow him. Dominic Meyer does a lot of cool art, and this is the gold foil signed Dominic Meyer art card, and it's Legolas, Master Archer. Swamp, Protector of Gondor, Errand Rider of Gondor, Stalwarts of Osgiliath, Inherited Envelope, Intish Restoration. So, I mean, I think this is like a slight improvement on some other cards that are similar mana cost. Well, maybe I'm misremembering, but sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. If you control the creature with power 4 or greater, instead search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, puts them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So, some strategies will care about having that land in the graveyard. Plus, you get a potential of getting 3 out. That's pretty decent, I think. Quick start, quick beam, upstart Ent. So when it or another tree folk ETBs, up to 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 and gain trample until end of turn. Landreval Horizon Witness, so flying, and you can give another non-flying creature flying. Mandalore Swift Savior. So this is my first viewing of this. It's got flying, and when Meneldor, not Mandalore, yes, it's not a bounty hunter. Meneldor Swift Savior. Flying, when Meneldor Swift Savior deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So, a blinking shenanigans. Extended art Oliphant, common. Oh. Call of the Ring. So this is like the art that they use on the collector box. At the beginning of your upkeep, the ring tempts you, and whenever you choose a creature as your ring bearer, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. Captain of Umbar. In foil, 1 tap, draw a card, discard a card. And a spirit token. Okay, art card. So this one is for Barad-dûr. Barad-dûr art card. Shiny Foil Forest. Willow Wind. Flying, and when it ETBs, scry 2. Grey Haven's Navigator. When it ETBs, scry 1. Nimerdel Watcher. Whenever you scry, this gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. And the ability triggers only once each turn. Haunt of the Dead Marshes. So when it enters the battlefield, scry 1, and you can pay 2 and a black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Activate only if you control a legendary creature. Chance Met Elves. Whenever you scry, put a +1/+1 counter on Chance Met Elves. This ability triggers only once per turn. Old Man Willow. So an uncommon. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And when it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or a token. When you do, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Rise of the Witch King. So this is a sacrifice game. Each player sacrifices a creature, and then if you do, return another permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you get to trade this for something in your battlefield and put people down a creature each. Voracious Fell Beast. ETB, each opponent sacrifices a creature and create a food token for each creature sacrificed this way. Golem Patient Plotter in the showcase. Yes, and I haven't even looked to see. I'm calling them showcase. Maybe there's a more precise term for them. It's ringhole art. When Golem Patient Plotter leaves the battlefield, the ring tempts you. You can pay black to sacrifice a creature and return Golem from your graveyard to your hand to activate only as a sorcerer. Storm of Saruman. So, it's got Ward 3. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. You may choose new targets for the copy. Okay. Copy effects could be good. And not needing to care that what you're copying is legendary is also very good. Gwalhir the Windlord in foil. So it's a bird noble. It's 2 less to cast as long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. It's got flying and vigilance, and other birds you control have vigilance. And Battle of the Hornburg Magic minigame token. Okay, we're nearly 2/3 of the way there. I doubt anyone is sticking with me for an hour, but I'm recording this for posterity. Okay, and that's going to be Samwise, right? Sam, Loyal Attendant. It's the art card. A Plains, the Shire is map land. Morgul Knife Wound. Fog of the Barrow Down. Soldier of the Grey Host. Eagles of the North. Glorfindel, Dauntless Rescuer. I've either already hit this here or in another break. Arwen Undomiel. Whenever you scry, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature, and you can force a scry 2 by paying for it. Celeborn the Wise. We've already hit. Mirror of Galadriel. Yep, we've done that one as well. Dunland Crebain. Galadriel of Lothlorien. And just a regular one, it's not a foil. Whenever the ring tempts you, if you chose a creature other than Galadriel as your ring bearer, scry 3, and whenever you scry, you may reveal the top card of your library, and if it's a land that's revealed this way, you can put it onto the battlefield tab. Bill the Pony! Bill the Pony in foil. It's only an uncommon, but it's Bill the Pony. When Bill the Pony enters the battlefield, create 2 food tokens. And you can sacrifice a food, and until end of turn, target creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. And it's a 1/4 to give you a starter target for that ability. And human soldier token. Okay, another art card. So this one is Eomer of the Rittermark. Eomer of the Rittermark. An island. Bombadil's Song. So target creature you control gets +1/+1 and hexproof until end of turn, and the ring tempts you. For 1 in green. A Slip on the Ring. Birthday Escape. Arwen's Gift. Gwaihir the Windlord. Stern Scolding. So Gandalf. Counter target creature spell with power or toughness 2 or less. So that's an answer to the Mirkwood bats, I think. You cannot pass. So destroy target creature that blocked or was blocked by legendary creature this turn. Rising of the Day. So creatures you control have haste, and legendary creatures you control get +1/+0. Pippin's Bravery. So it's only a common, but that's the extended art, and I think that's part of one of those like scenes. Delighted Halfling. Okay, so this is a cool card. So you can tap it to get colorless, or you can tap and add 1 mana of any color, and spend this mana to cast a legendary spell, and that spell can't be countered. So I think that's a good hit. Lash of the Balrog. So it's only a common, but this is the extended art foil version of it. So, it's so much better. And an Orc Army is a token. Hey, we're at the bottom of stack 2. Ooh, and look, we're getting a list card out of it, too. I don't think I've been psyched out of a list card when it shows up like that. So here's a Gollum card, I bet. Gollum, Patient Plotter. Art card. Island is our land. Map card. Escape from Orthanc. So this is target creature gets +1/+3 and gains flying until end of turn. Untap it. Isolation at Orthanc. Put target creature into its owner's library second from the top. So buy yourself some time. Fire of Orthanc. Destroy target artifact or land. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. Cast into the fire. An instant, choose one. Cast into the fire deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures, or you can exile a target artifact. Smite the Deathless. Smite the Deathless deals 3 damage to target creature. That creature loses indestructible until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So you're extra dead. Legolas, Counter of Kills. So whenever you scry, and if this is tapped, you may untap it. Do this only once each turn, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Legolas. Friendly Rivalry. Target creature you control and up to one other target legendary creature you control each deal damage equal to their power to target creature you don't control. So team up and smash. There's Gimli again. Samwise the Stout-Hearted in the extended art. Sauron the Necromancer. So, Avatar Horror, Menace. When Sauron the Necromancer attacks, exile target creature card from your graveyard. Read a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 3/3 black wraith with Menace. At the beginning of your end step, exile that token unless Sauron is your ring bearer. So you're encouraged to make Sauron your ring bearer, and you can keep around these wraiths, and you can have a bunch of ring wraiths in your deck too. And yeah, people will feel the pain. Elven Farsight in foil. So it's pretty. It's just a common. It's scry 3, and you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, draw a card. So it's a way to get a creature to hand, potentially. Planar Collapse is the list card. Enchantment. During your upkeep, if there are 4 or more creatures in play, sacrifice Planar Collapse and destroy all creatures. Those creatures cannot be regenerated this turn. So that's like an owie. Okay, we're into the final stack. Okay, is this Strider or something? No, it's a Nazgul. Okay, wrong team. So this is a Black Rider, a Nazgul. Art card. Blingy Island. Foil. Orcish Medicine. It burns going down. Target creature gains your choice of lifelink or indestructible until end of turn. And amass Orcs 1. Mordor Master. Mordor Muster. It's very different. You draw a card and you lose a life, and amass Orcs 1. Okay. The Torment of Gollum. Poor Gollum. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. And then you amass Orcs 2. Okay. The Mouth of Sauron. When the Mouth of Sauron enters the battlefield, target player mills 3 cards, then amass Orcs X, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in that player's graveyard. Okay. Ugluk of the White Hand. Gore Bag of Minas Morgul. Whenever a goblin or orc you control deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, choose 1. Draw a card or create a treasure token. Okay. Dunland Crebain. Extended art. Witch King of Angmar. In the showcase, not foil. Flying, whenever 1 or more creatures deal combat damage to you, each opponent sacrifices a creature that dealt combat damage to you this turn. The ring tempts you. You can discard a card, and Witch King of Angmar gains indestructible until end of turn, and then you tap it. So lots of stuff going on there. Legolas Master Archer, an extended art. And it's got reach. And whenever you cast a spell that targets Legolas, Master Archer puts a +1/+1 counter on Legolas. Whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you didn't control, Legolas deals damage equal to its power to up to one target creature. The Fall of Gilgalad as a saga, one of the rare sagas. So initially you scry 2, then you put 2+1/+1 counters on a target creature you control, and then until end of turn, target creature you control gains. When this creature dies, draw 2 cards. Then that creature fights up to one other target creature. Bill Fernie Bree Swindler in foil. So whenever Bill Fernie Bree Swindler becomes blocked, choose one. Create a treasure token. Or target opponent gains control of target horse you control. If they do, remove Bill Fernie from combat and create 3 treasure tokens. And a food token. Okay. Looks like they're on their way to. Yep, that's Samwise the Stout-Hearted. So Samwise the Stout-Hearted on the way to Mount Doom. Swamp. And there's Mirkwood Bats. So, such a troublemaker. Ithilien Kingfisher. Dunland Bane. Deceive the Messenger. Lost to Legend. So put a target non-land historic permanent into its owner's library 4th from the top. Okay. So it kind of expands what you can bounce into their library. You cannot pass. You cannot pass. Grima Wormtongue. Your opponents can't gain life. Tap, sacrifice another creature. Target player loses 1 life. The sacrifice creature is the legendary Amass Orcs 2. Irith of the Healing House. It's either Irith or Irith. You can tap to untap another target permanent, or you can tap to untap 2 target legendary creatures. So, untappy stuff can lead to shenanigans. Prince Imrahil the Fair. Whenever you draw your 2nd card each turn, create a 1/1 white human suit soldier creature token. Smeagol, helpful guide. So at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, the ring tempts you. And whenever the ring tempts you, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped under your control, and the rest into their graveyard. So essentially you're milling them and stealing from them. It's particularly nasty, at least from my point of view. March from the Black Gate in foil. So when it ETBs, and whenever an army you control attacks, Amass Orcs 1. Okay. And the ring token, emblem. Okay. This is probably some kind of Galad. Heroic Intervention. Okay, so yes, I think in the Commander decks there's a reprint of, Heroic Intervention, with new art. Swamp. Mordor map card. The Great Hall of the Citadel, Gimli's Axe, Gimli's Fury, Erebor Flamesmith, Stew the Conies. So target creature you control deals damage equal to its power. The target creature you don't control, and then you create a food token. Yes. Thus the Conies. Shire Sheriff. Butterbur Brie Innkeeper. At the beginning of your end step, if you don't control a food, create a food. Okay. Keep yourself supplied with food. Rosie Cotton of South Lane again. Legolas Counter of Kills in the showcase. Uncommon. Okay. Aragorn the Uniter. So I think this is the first, aside from the starter set, this is the first Aragorn card, although I've had a Strider. Legendary creature, human noble. Okay, so this is like a Kenrith kind of card, I think. So it's 1, 2, 3. So it's a 4-color. So it's not 5-color, but it's a 4-color. And whenever you cast a white spell, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, it deals 3 damage to target opponent. And whenever you cast a green spell, target creature you get creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. So lots of value from a multicolor deck. Ooh. Gandalf the Grey in the showcase, but in the foil. So that's nice. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one that hasn't been chosen. You may tap or untap target permanent. Gandalf the Grey deals 3 damage to each opponent. Copy target or instant sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. And put Gandalf on the top of its owner's library. So you can use it up, get it on the top, cycle through it again. And a junk token. Okay, we've got an art card. This one's just for Mountain. You know, it's a Mountain. Island. Soothing of Smeagol. Return target non-token creature to its owner's control. The ring tempts you. Captain of Umbar. Hellergear Survivor. Eomer of the Rittermark. So it's got haste, and whenever it attacks, if you control the creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Erkenbrand, Lord of Westfold. Whenever Erkenbrand or another human enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Prince Imrahil the Fair, seen before. And there's Strider, Ranger of the North. What's this? Okay, not a foil. So the Lash of Balrog, extended art. Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit. So partner with Sam. Vigilance, and whenever Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit, attacks, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, the ring tempts you. Then if Frodo is your ring bearer, and the ring has tempted you 2 or more times in the game, draw a card. There's Gandalf the Grey. In its standard edition. Surrounded by Orcs. Foil. So Mass Orcs 3. And there's an Orc army for when you're doing all your amassing. Okay. Learn from the past is the art card. So, Gandalf. Forest. Bag End Porter. Whenever Bag End Porter attacks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Mirror Guardian. When Mirror Guardian dies, the ring tempts you. Okay. Enraged Huorn. Treefolk trample, and when it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Sam's Desperate Rescue. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. The ring tempts you. Saruman's Trickery. Counter target spell. So this is for 1 and 2 blue. And you get to amass orcs for 1. Saruman the White. It's got Ward 2. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, amass orcs 2. So there's plenty of second spell stuff in this set, so it can add up. Grishnak Brash Instigator. So when it enters the battlefield, amass orcs 2. When you do until end of turn, gain control of a target non-legendary creature an opponent controls of power less than or equal to the amassed army's power, and untap that creature, gains haste until end of turn. Grond. Grond the Gatebreaker. So it's a vehicle, trample. As long as it's your turn and you control an army, Grond the Gatebreaker is an artifact creature. And it has crew 3. Grothmog Morgul Lieutenant in the extended art. Elven Chorus. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. That's my kind of card. Yeah. So you don't even have to reveal the top. You know, there are other things where you're revealing the top card. But being cast from the top is always handy. And Smite the Deathless in foil. And a Human Soldier creature token. Okay. Okay, an art card with the signature on it. Vico Menezes. I'm probably butchering that. So it's Pippin, Warden of Isengard. Vico Menezes. Forest map in foil. Yeah, I think the foils are like so much better for these. Treason of Isengard. To put up the 1 target or instant sorcery card from your instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library, and amass orcs 2. So, Swarming of Moria. Create a treasure token and amass orcs 2. War Beast of Gorgoroth. So whenever it or another creature you control with power 4 or greater dies, amass orcs 2. Surrounded by orcs. Peregrine Took. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional food token are created instead. And you can sacrifice 3 food tokens to draw a card. So that one is for the food theme, sub-theme of the set. Meridiac Brandy Buck. Whenever one more halflings you control attack a player, create a food. Bilbo, Retired Burglar. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Barrow Blade. Knights of Dol Amroth. Samwise Gamgee. So so this one is the rare version in Selesnya. Green and white. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a food token. And sacrifice 3 foods. Return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. Landreval Horizon Witness and foil. Yeah, so you can grant another creature flying. And Implode is from the list. So 4 and a red to destroy a target land and then draw a card. You know, someone's playing a Gradle in a casual game. Gaia's Cradle, I mean. Okay, we got Treebeard, Gracious Host as the art card. A Forest, a non-foil, and here's what I'm saying. So I just like the I like the foils so much better. Woe's Finder. So you can add mana, tap and add mana of any color. Then there's an expensive one, 6 and a green. Tap. Another target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample. That seems expensive. Protector of Gondor. Errand Rider of Gondor. Eowyn, Lady of Rohan. Okay, that's the first strike and vigilance kind of thing. Okay. Reprieve. Faramir, Field Commander. Dunedain Rangers. So whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you don't control a ring bearer, the ring tempts you. Gimli, Counter of Kills in the showcase. So trample, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, Gimli deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Another Nazgul. So a Wraith Knight, Death Touch. The ring tempts you when it enters. Whenever the ring tempts you, put a +1/+1 counter on each Wraith you control, and a deck can have up to 9 Wraiths. So, Eomer, Marshal of Rohan. Okay, so now we got the rare version of Eomer. Whenever 1 or more other attacking legendary creatures you control die, untap all creatures you control. after this phase, there's an additional combat phase, and this ability triggers only once each turn. Okay. So the second, like second breakfast, there's second combat. Lost Isle Calling in foil. So this one can get you an extra turn, potentially. So whenever you scry, put a verse counter on it. And you can pay to exile it, draw a card for each verse counter. And if it had 7 or more, you take an extra turn after this one. Activate only as a sorcery. Oh, and from the list, the World Tree. The World Tree from the list. Okay, we're down to 3 packs. Okay, Boromir, I think. Yeah, Boromir, Warden of the Tower, is the art card. Mountain Mapland. Now for Wrath, now for Ruin. So it's common, but it's the first time I've seen it. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So that's good. They gain vigilance until end of turn, and the ring tempts you. That sounds good for a common. Breakup of the Fellowship. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls, and then the ring tempts you. Aha. Stop hitting yourself. Glorious Gale. Counter target creature spell. If it was a legendary spell, the ring tempts you. There's ring temptation all over the place. Dreadful as the Storm. Target creature has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn, and the ring tempts you. Claim the Precious. Destroy target creature. The ring tempts you. Frodo Baggins, just the vanilla Frodo Baggins of the Simic. Selesnya. Whenever Frodo Baggins or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, the ring tempts you, and as long as Frodo's the ring bearer, it must be blocked if able. Samwise the Stout-Hearted. So flash, and when it enters the battlefield, choose up to 1 target permanent target your graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn. Return it to your hand, then the ring tempts you. Gollum Patient Plotter. So we got the theme there of that part of the plot. Foray of Orcs. Amass Orcs 2. When you do, Foray of Orcs deals X damage to target creature and opponent controls, where X is the amassed army's power. Sauron's Ransom. Choose an opponent. They look at the top 4 cards of your library and separate them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard, and the ring tempts you. Brandywine Farmer. Oath of Scholars is the list card. During enchantment, during each player's upkeep, if that player has fewer cards in hand than target opponent, the player may discard his or her hand and draw 3 cards. Okay. And then there were 2. Frodo Baggins. Art card. Plains. Orcish Medicine. Mordor Muster. The Torment of Gollum. Soothing of Smeagol. Goblin Fire Leaper. Fear Fire Foes. Foray of Orcs. March from the Black Gate. Shire Sheriff. Mines of Moria. A legendary land. Mines of Moria enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary creature. You can get red out of it with a tap, or 3 in a red. Exile 3 cards from your graveyard and create 2 treasure tokens. Knights of Dal Amroth in foil. Standard art. Winchester Draft minigame card. Okay, the last proper pack. Aha. So there's Gandalf in the fireworks. So Gandalf, Friend of the Shire art card. A Swamp. The Black Breath. Urukai Berserker. Mordor Trebuchet. Rush the Room. Shortcut to Mushrooms. Ring Sight. Fiery Inscription. So, when Fiery Inscription enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Fiery Inscription deals 2 damage to each opponent. Bitter Downfall. There's Gandalf, Friend of the Shire in the showcasey version. Glamdring. So Glamdring, legendary artifact equipment, mythic, equipped creature has first strike and gets +1/+0 for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost. And it's got equipped 3. Enraged Huorn in foil. And food. Okay. So, Glamdring, Mines of Moria, Sauron's Ransom, Lost Isle Calling in foil, Eomer, Marshal Samwise Gamgee, Elven Chorus, Gandalf the Grey, Frodo Adventurous Hobbit, Gandalf the Grey in the Fancy Foil Showcase, Aragorn the Uniter, Smeagol Helpful Guide, The Fall of Gilgalad, Legolas Master Archer, extended art, Witch King of Angmar in Showcase, Sauron the Necromancer, Delightful Halfling, Storm of Saruman, Call of the Ring, Boromir, Warden of the Tower, One Ring to Rule Them All, War of the Last Alliance, Gloin, Dwarf Emissary, Elvish Mariner, Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, King of the Oathbreakers, another Elvish Mariner, Display of Power, Saruman of the White Hand, Tom Bombadil, Goldberry River Daughter, The Battle of Bywater, Barad-dûr, Radagast the Brown, Eowyn, Fearless Knight in extended art foil, Shagraz, Loot Bearer, Galadriel of Lothlorien extended art, Lost Isle Calling Again, non-foil, and Eowyn Fearless Knight. So those were the rares and mythics. And from the list, Oath of Scholars, The World Tree, Implode, Planar Collapse, Argothian Elder, Thran Forge, Pentavus, Gitu Fire, and Ringwraith. Okay, so what we still have left here is a box topper. So let's see if we had any luck with the box topper. I think, man, the glue is strong on this one. So I think oh great, the one that I can't play. So it's the White Tower of Ecthelion. So I think this is Caracas. Legendary land, add white. Tap, return target legendary creature to its owner's hand. So this is banned in Commander. But that's my box topper for this. I have no idea what it's worth, but I'm assuming since it's banned, it can't be worth that much. Unless it's still valid in some other format that really loves it. Okay. Got that taken care of. Okay, so I don't have a good sense of the value, and I think that they're in flux. But there was some good stuff in here. So for a set box, hopefully it's decent. I'll be happy with it for now. Seems okay, but value wise, I don't know how it turns out. Could have done better on the box topper, I think. At least gotten something with more utility. But yeah, so this was a marathon, and I talked a lot. So if you're watching still, thank you. I'll speed up on the rest of my breaks. This is like my first, I went through a bundle and the starter set, and then this. So now I've gotten a decent look kind of across the set at the cards, and then I'll, point out the surprises in my next ones, but I'll probably gloss over the commons and some of the uncommons unless they're major characters. But yeah, that's it. That's what I got from this set box for Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, Magic the Gathering. I will hopefully see you for a future video. Thanks for watching. Bye.